I just came back from a week-long vacation and found that our backyard was sprayed with maybe a herbicide. Does anyone know what could have caused this? We found our tortoise dead just now. The cactus are melted, and there are obvious spray marks on them. Commenter. Get a ladder and look over all 3 neighboring yards to see if they were affected too. It's not common, but explanation would be an aircraft dumping fuel. Make sure it's isolated to you. OP. We did. The neighbor who we think is responsible is untouched. To another commenter, I'm a pilot, aviation, or jet fuel would burn up and evaporate before reaching the ground in this heat. Plus, the spray and radius of the drop wouldn't be so concentrated. Commenter. Chief suspect identified. Is it the same neighbor who lives on the side closest to the center of the dead grass? If so, you can and should sue them. OP. We will if needed, but this post has helped me press my girlfriend's dad to file a police report. My girlfriend are just sad we lost the tortoise. We have a new puppy we are worried about too. Commenter. Any of your neighbors have beef with your tortoise? Seems like a very half-assed over-the-fence spray that was intended to hurt something. I hate to think the worst of your neighbors, but they are looking pretty guilty right now. OP. Now we have 2, and they definitely wouldn't even know they are there. Desert tortoises are very peaceful, and they never leave their burrows, which were behind the brick fence of their enclosure. Commenter. I'm sorry for your loss. OP. Thank you. We just rescued her from a shelter several months ago, but our other one is doing fine so far, thank goodness. Commenter. I also don't believe dermal contact with herbicide would kill an animal, especially a tortoise with a shell and thick skin. Irritation probably, but death more than likely not. As the other commenter said, probably something caustic. Edit. You for sure should confront your neighbors about this, as long as they aren't the type to fly off the handle. OP. He's denied anything, but it clearly came from his yard. And he hates my girlfriend's dad. Commenter. Wait. Like tortoise as in the reptile? If so, hell no. That's some serial killer shit. No way someone is getting away with killing a pet that is supposed to live for 80-150 plus years. OP. Yeah, the tortoise was around 20 years old, perfectly fine yesterday, and we found her dead just now. She definitely died because of the poison or whatever was dumped. Mini update in comments. 5 hours later. Thank you everyone for your support and advice. I am sorting through making a game plan to talk to my GFS dad in the morning. So far, we are going to file a police report after one. Contacting Department of Agriculture/Health about getting a sample of what was used. 2. Game and Fish, where we rescued putting our tortoise because it's highly illegal to kill an endangered desert tortoise. OP clarifies. $50,000 fine at max for killing a desert tort. I just buried her, so I hope I don't have to dig her back up. Did they talk to the neighbor? We did. He denied any involvement. Commenter. My buddy had this happen. He had the local Department of Agriculture come out and take soil samples. They found out that the neighbor had poisoned his trees and yard. The lawsuit is now moving forward. OP, that's good to hear, thank you. Pretty damn sure this is what happened. Gonna call EPA, Department of Agriculture, Game and Fish. Anyone I can find to give justice to Pudding. Cameras. We have cameras coming in tomorrow. We have a 4-month-old puppy, 2 other dogs, and another tortoise. It's gonna be tough, but I'm gonna figure something out. To many others offers to help. Am recruiting, justice for Pudding. Who's making the shirts? Update post 1. A few hours later. Here's a better look if anyone else was curious. Image descriptions. Image 1. A partly dead cactus that almost looks like it's melting. Image 2. Dying leaves off of a tree/bush. Image 3. Blanched cactus that also looks kind of melted. Image 4. Dead bush. Image 5 to 7. A cactus that looks like melted wax and asparagus. Relevant comments. Commenter. Yuck. I hope your idiot neighbors have deep pockets, cause this looks expensive. OP. Just talk to Game and Fish about my endangered tort. They coming for their asses. Commenter. I hope you can file a civil lawsuit in addition to the criminal case that should be brought forth. Animal cruelty is heinous. What kind of tortoise was Pudding? OP. A Sonoran desert tortoise, heavily protected. We adopted her from Game and Fish. Mini update in comments. September 6th, 2024, about 10 hours later. Talked to GFD last night. I'll be in contact with an officer at some point today. And I think the insurance agent is a good idea. Relevant comments. Commenter. Justice for Pudding. Turtle. What's the other tortoise name? Poor thing. I bet they miss Pudding. That picture of the 2 of them breaks my heart. OP. Sugar. She's doing good. We are keeping her away from the grass. Mini update in comments. 2 hours later. A GFD warden just came by and examined everything. He's going to do some digging for us, and once we get a soil sample and stuff done, the GFD will investigate. Mini update in comments. The police officer just left. We filed a report. Relevant comments. Commenter. Sorry for your loss. I do believe you contacted the wrong authorities, as this looks like a civil dispute and will be settled in small court. Unless you're looking to sue the manufacturer company that produced the chemicals, I would assume those contacts made will lead nowhere. OP. We are just trying to gather as much info as possible before deciding what to do. There's not any evidence to prove who did this. We are waiting on chemical tests. The officer said there's not much we can do since we didn't see it happen. Update Post 3. Editor's note. This post was also removed by mods. It was reposted, see below, on the Justice for Pudding sub. Relevant comments. Commenter. Just ordered a shirt. Justice for Pudding. I'm curious if this will gain enough traction for the local media to get involved. OP. Thank you for your support. I've been reached out to by Fox 10 and Channel 12. But they want to video our house and family. We don't want to put ourselves out there right now, especially since we fear our neighbors' retaliation. Commenter. Have the neighbors responded at all? OP. We are gathering as much evidence as possible and going to let the police handle it if necessary. They would do a better job than me. Mini update in comments. 3 hours later. A helpful Redditor's husband has a connection in the EPA, sending the case through. Once we get these chems tested, it's about to go down. Relevant comments. Commenter. I'm a massive Turtle and Tortoise fan, and this has broken my heart. RIP Pudding, and good luck bringing your neighbor to justice. I'll be grabbing a t-shirt or two. Is there also a GoFundMe type thing somewhere to donate to the legal fees more directly? OP. The reason I'm doing t-shirts is because I feel guilty asking for money for nothing. I just want everyone to get something for their support. Posting the police report. My department takes 7 to 10 days, he said, to release it to me, but he said I'll get copies of the body cam footage along with it. So I'll post that for sure if we can nail this guy. Hello everyone. My post got taken down so I'm posting future updates on here. Thank you all for your continued support and advice. It has been so helpful. For anyone interested, we are waiting on the AZDA and EPA to come out and test the soil. Here's the link to the merch if anyone is still interested. Thanks again. Justice for Pudding Greenheart Turtle. Image 1. OP feeding pudding. Relevant comments. Commenter. Hey OP, do you have any plans on having pudding necropsied? I know it is hard, as I had to dig up one of my pets in the past to get necropsied, but it was essential in prosecuting our neighbor who poisoned and killed him. Hopefully they bring the hammer down on these dumbass. You're much more level-headed than I'd be. OP. As we are trying to process everything, it's hard to dig her back up. If it's absolutely necessary and recommended to me by authorities, I will. However, before doing so, I'm waiting because digging up and freezing my pet for goodness knows how long sickens me and my family. Commenter. Hey OP, one thing I noticed was that it looks like trees on the Neighbour side have been damaged as well. Have you been able to get any pictures from the other side of the fence? OP. I would, but sounds illegal to me. I don't want to get sued for posting pics their backyard on the internet, haha. Commenter. Downvoted OP is just looking for quick cash, everyone. Stop falling for this crap. OP realized his post got blown up, so he is trying to gain something out of it, such as asking people to buy his merch. OP. Never asked for help. The people who are supporting this movement made these designs. I'm selling them for very cheap. I'm sorry if I somehow offended you, but please don't attack people unless they've done something to you. OP posts a pic of the police report and case number. Image description. Your rights as a crime victim, with case number, date, and officer information. Latest comments from OP. Editor's note. Because these comments do not contain updates, some of them are from as recently as September 9th. But I wanted to make sure to include them to make sure no one got scammed. Commenter. Justice for Pudding. This is making its rounds on TikTok now. I'm so sorry your baby suffered. I hope the neighbor gets what he deserves. OP. I don't know what to say, haha. This is turning into something bigger than I could ever have imagined. I'm worried this will turn into something it's not without my supervision. Thank you. I was sent the link by personal friends. I'm just worried people will take advantage of this pretending to be me. I'm going to make an account to make sure there's no fraud going on. Commenter. Hey, so I know I'm late to the party, but in one of your pictures posting the damage, there seemed to have been a pan down with possibly water in it for pudding? Considering the high heat and lack of rain recently in the area mixed with its proximity to the plants, there may be some trace amounts of whatever was used in that pan that could be used for investigation purposes. OP. This is definitely something I've noted. AZDA investigator is coming tomorrow at 12:30 to take samples from the soil, that water dish, and some cacti and leaves we've separated and saved. Thank you for making me aware. OP also clarified that any GoFundMes are not his and should not be donated to editor's note. Just wanted to include this sweet conversation somewhere. This was after the post was cross-posted to the Arizona subreddit. Commenter. Sweet pudding, I'm so happy you guys are getting justice. I wish I had taken more photos of her when she was still at TAP. OP, oh my goodness. Are you the lady who was caring for her when we adopted Pudding? Commenter, yes. It's okay if you don't remember me. I know you adopted Pudding back in May, but I was the intern Sophia who helped you with the adoption. I was so sorry to hear about Pudding. I recognized her name right away and the photos of your backyard from your adoption application, and my heart breaks for you and your girlfriend. I hope the both of you can heal from this horrible experience, and if the time ever comes where you think you may want to adopt another tortoise, please don't hesitate to contact me. OP, thank you so much for helping us pick her. She was so incredibly special. Obviously, it's going to be a while to get the backyard back in shape for our other tortoise, but we definitely need some time before adopting another. No one could replace Pudding. Update Post 4. First of all, thank you to everyone who's been following along and supporting us. This has all been more intense than we could have ever expected. I wanted to post a quick update on where things stand right now because things just took a wild turn. So, we got the AZDA investigator out here today, and it turns out the damage might be worse than we initially thought. Not only did they take samples from the soil and the melted cacti, but they also mentioned that whatever was sprayed didn't just hit our yard, it may have drifted. Meaning, some of our other neighbors might be impacted, too. They're advising them to get their lawns and plants tested ASAP. So, this might be even bigger than just our property. Here's where things get strange. We've tried to keep things civil with the neighbor we suspect is responsible. No direct confrontations, just waiting for the legal process. But today, when my girlfriend's dad went to take out the trash, he noticed something bizarre. Our neighbor has been outside for the past few hours digging. He's literally out there in his backyard, shoveling something up near the fence line that separates our two properties. My girlfriend's dad says it looks like he's trying to hide something. We don't want to accuse anyone without evidence, but this timing feels really suspicious. I mean, why now? Why after everything's blown up? Is he trying to cover up something before the investigators come around to ask questions? Anyway, we decided to snap a few pics and videos from our side of the fence, nothing invasive, just what we can see from our yard, and guess what? His grass along the fence looks completely untouched, but a couple of his bushes do look oddly discolored. We hadn't noticed before because they're more towards the back corner, but it seems like the spray might have hit his yard too, just in a way that isn't as obvious. Or maybe whatever he used is taking longer to show damage. We're not sure. About the puppy. We've been extra cautious with our new puppy, especially after what happened to Pudding. We've kept him far away from the backyard, but last night he started acting a little weird, lethargic, and not his usual energetic self. We're hoping it's nothing, but we're not taking any chances. I took him to the vet this morning, and they're running some tests. I swear, if something happens to our puppy, that's it. I am going full scorched earth on this guy. The legal side of things. We got the soil samples sent off to be tested. It might take a few days to get results, but once we do, the EPA will hopefully step in. We're also keeping the police in the loop, and I'm documenting everything. I don't care how petty it sounds, I am taking notes on everything from the neighbor's behavior to any suspicious activity. The crazy part? I got a call from another local news station today. They want to come out here and do a story on this whole situation. I told them the same thing I told Fox and Channel 12. We're not interested in being plastered all over TV right now. I don't want to escalate things until we have solid evidence. Plus, I don't know if this neighbor is the type to retaliate, but I'm not about to risk that with a 4-month-old puppy and another tortoise in the house. What's next? We're in limbo right now, waiting for the test results and keeping an eye on the neighbor. We also might dig up Pudding for a necropsy. I'm not ready, but if it's necessary for the investigation, we'll do it. It's brutal, but I want to make sure we get the full truth out of this. Oh, and shout out to everyone who's been buying the shirts. The Justice for Pudding movement is growing, and honestly, it's keeping us motivated. We even got a few orders from Canada, which is wild. I never thought I'd be in this situation mourning a tortoise, dealing with possible chemical poisoning, and running an online merch campaign all at once, but here we are. Things are getting crazier by the minute, and I'm just hoping this doesn't spiral out of control. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if a SWAT team showed up. Update 5. Let me back up to yesterday. We were still waiting on the chemical test results when something big happened. The AZDA investigator came back to our house to ask some follow-up questions. They were particularly interested in the fence area where we had seen the neighbor digging. Apparently, they've been getting calls from our other neighbors, too. Turns out, a few houses down, someone's dog got sick with symptoms that looked suspiciously similar to what our puppy was going through. That was enough to escalate things. They got a warrant to check our neighbor's property. And let me tell you, when the police, EPA, and AZDA rolled up, it felt like the whole neighborhood was watching. Everyone was peeking out their windows, trying to see what was going down. Here's where it gets crazy. While they were inspecting his backyard, the cops found containers. Not just any containers, industrial-looking ones with warning labels. The kind that scream, "I shouldn't be anywhere near a residential area." The neighbor tried to play it cool, saying it was leftover stuff from a landscaping project, but the investigators weren't buying it. They took those containers into evidence, and suddenly, it all made sense. Whatever he sprayed, it was industrial strength, likely a herbicide or pesticide not meant for casual use. Then, we heard a boom. No joke. I'm inside the house with my girlfriend when we hear this loud explosion. We thought maybe the neighbor's car backfired or something. Nope. His shed had blown up. The fire department showed up within minutes, but his backyard was a full-on crime scene by that point. We later found out that the chemicals he had stored in there were highly flammable, and something, either a spark or just bad luck, caused it to combust. The fire didn't spread far, thankfully, but the shed was toast, along with whatever else he had hidden in there. The investigators are still combing through the wreckage, but it looks like our neighbor had been hoarding dangerous chemicals for who knows how long. And worse, he'd been using them on our yard. Here's where things get really satisfying. The chemical test came back today. The herbicide? Illegal. The EPA confirmed that it's a restricted substance that isn't supposed to be used anywhere near residential properties. Not only that, but it was toxic enough to kill pudding outright. That's right, the tortoise that could have lived 100+ years was murdered by our psycho neighbor with banned chemicals. The police arrested him this morning. Apparently, they're slapping him with multiple charges, including illegal possession of hazardous materials, animal cruelty, and property damage. The fine for killing pudding? It's going to hit him hard. $50,000 for killing an endangered species. The fact that he's also responsible for the damage to the surrounding properties? That's another lawsuit coming his way. He's not getting out of this one easily. And I wish I could say it ends there, but it doesn't. As we were giving statements to the police, my girlfriend's dad dropped a bombshell. He'd been feuding with this neighbor for years about property lines, noise complaints, you name it. We knew they didn't like each other, but we had no idea it was this deep. My girlfriend's dad believes this whole thing was personal. He thinks the neighbor's been waiting for a chance to retaliate and saw his opportunity when we left for vacation. The spraying? The timing? All of it feels too perfect to be random. So now, on top of the criminal charges, we're planning to take him to civil court. Not just for the damages to our property, but for emotional distress and the loss of pudding. I don't care if it takes years, I'm not letting him off the hook for this. As for Sugar and the puppy, Sugar is fine, thank goodness. She's been staying inside, away from the backyard, and seems to be her usual self. The puppy? He's recovering. The vet said he likely ingested something minor, but we caught it early, and he's expected to make a full recovery. We're keeping both of them under close watch for the foreseeable future, and the backyard is off limits until the EPA clears it. The aftermath. Our yard is trashed, our tortoise is gone, and we're still dealing with the fallout. But here's the thing. We won. The neighbor who tried to poison our pets, destroy our yard, and get away with it is going to jail. And when he gets out, he'll be bankrupt from the fines and lawsuits. It doesn't bring pudding back, but it's the closest thing to justice we're going to get. The crazy part? This whole thing is blown up even more. After the arrest, one of the local news stations reached out again, and this time, we agreed to an interview. We're going to share Pudding's story, not just to get justice for her, but to make sure no one else goes through this. The Justice for Pudding movement is going strong. Shirts are selling out, and people from all over the country are reaching out, sharing their own stories of pets lost to reckless neighbors. We're still not sure what's next. The backyard needs to be rebuilt, Sugar needs time to adjust, and we're not ready to adopt another tortoise yet. But for now, we can breathe a little easier knowing that the person responsible for this nightmare is behind bars.